Carrfields, pioneers for over 50 years, supporting life and prosperity on the land for all generations. Carrfields, your trusted partner on the land.
Well, this is the start of our weekly livestock section, brought to you by our very good friends at Carrfields. And it's really exciting to be able to kick off in the studio. We have, of course, Managing Director for Carrfields, Craig Carr, in the studio with us. Craig, thank you so much for Carrfields coming on board with CountryWide CONNECT and being a part of this new innovative and actually sort of backing what we're doing. I know it's a real ethos that goes with the Carrfields family innovation.
Oh, no, great to be here, Sarah, and congratulations on this new product, a new business. Fantastic. We're so pleased to be part of it.
It's actually very cool, Craig, because Rubisco is literally just around the corner from our studio talking about innovation. We're going to get into livestock soon, but can you tell our viewers a little bit more about Rubisco and how it's evolved?
Yeah, well, look, it was great. I was just there actually catching up with the team, and look, things are going really well. We have, obviously over the last 8 years, we've been developing the traditional yarns business into a natural fibers business, which has been this journey of hemp and hemp fiber, growing here in Canterbury, processing, and then, sort of working with innovation companies to develop products that can go into, further products. So we've recently moved the hemp decortication plant, which is the machine that actually, rips all the hemp fiber apart and turns it into its two fragments. We've moved that to Ashburton in the last sort of 6 months. So that is now up and running. We've done a major rehaul of the factory along with the strengthening program. And we're really just in the final stages of a capital raise program, which, is underway. We've got some really good early positive signs there with people coming on board. And that's to raise significant capital to take this business further forward in, product streams of yarns, biocomposite sort of fabrics, building products, geotextiles. So look, we're really, super excited. And it's great for New Zealand. It's great to be able to produce, alternative fibers. But it's also great for the wool industry, which, has been through a pretty tough time over the last 10 years. So it's great to see those wool prices sort of pick up a bit. It's now our job to continue to, push those wool prices through to the end consumers, which is not easy because, they've got to lift their prices. But we know wool's such a great product and we just continue to need to sell the attributes of it.
What's the supply like on the hemp side of things?
Look, hemp supply is good at the moment. I mean, we've produced, reasonable amounts over the last few years. And what I'd say, we're still really in that sort of R&D stage. So we have plenty of stock. It's pretty easy to get on and grow now. The new regulations are making that also a little bit easier. But we have the grower base, we have the capability in house. We can dial that up. But really for us, it's about further capital to really be able to take that business to scale. And then the continued work that we're doing and working with some of our sort of, I'd say, strategic partners around getting them the right product they need for their products. And then how do we scale that? And, there's been a lot of work around, fire retardancy, and our whole ethos in Rubisco has been about making sure that the product comes from nature and can return to nature. So making choices around what we need to do for fire retardancy has to be in line with that ethos. So that takes time, but there's so many pieces of that jigsaw puzzle we've now resolved. So yeah, watch the space.
It's very cool. I was just thinking of a few things like, number one, the price of oil, hopefully, with the impact it will have on synthetic fibers and the flow through there. And Life and Leisure, which CountryWide also own. We're doing a piece on Koto and a New Zealand fashion designer, and they want fabrics and buttons and absolutely every part of that garment to go back into a biochar system. So the demand for sustainable fashion is huge around the world. And you travel a lot over to Europe. You see this.
Yeah, look, I mean, the demands are definitely there. Like the consumers are wanting to, make sure that when they buy a garment or they buy a product, that, when it's thrown away, that it can actually just, return back into nature, that we haven't got all these microplastics, floating around in the soil and in our waterways and our oceans. So, consumers are more conscious, but we also have to get mainstream adoption. We also have to be able to make it affordable, and we have to make it accessible. And so by unlocking a value chain such as hemp, that we can scale globally, what that actually allows, it allows for, for other countries to get on and produce, hemp fiber products and be able to create more natural fibers at a much lower cost that actually can go into those different sort of, value chains. And
That's really interesting. You talked about sustainable, because in the past, sustainable fashion has always been almost luxury and elite, right? And I've always sort of had a little issue with that. Like, oh, yes, we can do this amazing stuff, but the average person can't afford it.
you make a great point, right? How do we get people to buy products and think about the environment, and and if they're expensive products, then it limits buyers, which actually means people continue to buy products that are not great for the planet. So again, as I said, our job here is we're never going to be the cheapest grower of hemp or the cheapest manufacturer. But what we can do is we can take our IP, our knowledge to the world, and scale this in countries that, one, have textile industries, but also have the power of people, the power of land, or the ability to do so. So, that's really what Rubisco is all about. It's the engine room. It's the engine room to build natural fiber value chains and take that into those global markets.
Yeah, I'm glad we started talking about Rubisco, because it really has been a passion project of yours, Craig, for so long. But obviously the Carrfield family has across so many different elements. And of course, your livestock department or division, I should say, is gone from strength to strength, from acquiring elders so many years ago to how many agents now across the country?
Yeah, look, we acquired Elders in 2014, so just over 10 years ago. Fairly quickly, really to build on the Elders business that was primarily a North Island business. We acquired Farmland's livestock division sort of in 2016. And then really we had a gap in the Waikato, and that really led the opportunities for discussions at that stage with FarmSource or RD1 in acquiring their livestock division. So that really gave us, a big a complement of livestock agents right across New Zealand, from Kaitaia to Bluff. And today we have sort of circa 120 to 130 livestock agents, covering all of New Zealand. We have a great team of people that, get out of bed in the morning and just do their best for their clients. They are really trusted advisors to their farming clients. So a great team of people.
Yeah, I remember when I was farming, your livestock rep was someone who you trusted and you used a lot, and they actually almost became business partners, effectively. So that trust and experience is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, no, and look, I see it firsthand. We keep things simple in our business. Our agents, they have clients and they look after them, super well. They're on the phone from early in the morning to late at night. They're there in the yards. They're really there. And I agree with you. They are often put in one of the most trusted advisor categories in a farming operation.
Yeah, well, it's the engine room, right? Your stock. If you're a dairy farm or a sheep and beef farm, that's your stock. That's the engine room. So you've got to trust that person bringing you the right, because it's not always about price. And on the other, it's about making sure you're getting the right product.
Yep. Making sure, the end customer's getting the right product, but also the producer's also getting the right price, and their stock are going in the right, right way as well.
What's it been like for Carrfields? Because I know that Carrfields was quite heavily involved in the live trade and would have been affected quite a lot by the recent decisions that it's not likely to come back at all. How have your team worked to pivot the business and also farmers' businesses?
Yeah, look, good question. And I think, look, obviously, Carrfields was a big procurer for the livestock export industry. So it was, a big part of our business when those markets were strong. Obviously, the banning, and then there was discussions around that sort of potentially coming back. But, the news that, hey, look, it doesn't really look like it's going to come back. I think, it's like lots of decisions that get made, while it's really disappointing, I think for, our farmers who built their farming systems around that, other businesses that are sort of connected to that livestock export industry, from vets to transport companies to feedlotters, like all of them, has significant impact. But on the reverse of that, what we do well as Kiwis and as farmers and as business owners is we pivot to find alternative opportunities. And so already a lot of those farmers that we work with have pivoted to other types of stock. There's been obviously quite increased demand in the last couple of years for dairy heifer replacements and more dairy cows for an increasing dairy conversion opportunities. So I think, we do what we do. I remember when I was way back in the livestock feed industry, we used to make all of the pellets for the live export trade, and there was a lot of cows exported to China, I think, in sort of the early 2000s, 2005, 6, and then it stopped. And then it came back again. So, these industries do start and stop. Even today, if we were allowed to export stock, primarily to China or by sea, to other Southeast Asian countries, we don't even know what the demand would actually look like. So,
would that pay the prices? I mean, we're talking about what a replacement heifer is worth now.
Well, I don't think they'd probably be paying these prices. And I think, secondly, as we know, China demand or Southeast Asian demand can go up and it can go down. And so I think, it's about, like in any business, there's always opportunities, but keeping good continuity around what you do in the long term, I think, wins.
Yeah. Craig, lastly, you spend a lot of time over in the Middle East. You'll have a lot of colleagues that you deal with, I'm sure, that you'll be thinking of and maybe in contact with or not. But what's your take on what's going on in Iran at the moment?
Yeah, look, I'm really, quite sad, really. I think, when you think about all the people that are affected through no choice of theirs, the Carrfields group through its seed business that produces seed that's, sold up into those markets through our different brands such as Windseed. We have a lot of business in that part of the world, India, Pakistan, Northeast, North Africa, Middle East. And so it's challenging right now. I mean, it's challenging for our customers. Freight obviously is going to become more challenging. Fuel surcharges becoming challenging. But I think, again, I think as Kiwis and as businesses, we find a way. We had COVID thrown on us. We didn't know anything about pandemics back then. And we make it work. And I think we make it work with, good customer communication. We make it work with trying to be flexible. We find ways. But, just as we felt things, in our economy and things in business, we're maybe starting to see some more positive light. We now, face oil crisis and global uncertainty, which doesn't make business very easy.
No, not at all. And we have a fun election this year, which we won't get into any more details on. Craig, thank you so very much for joining us in the CountryWide studio on our very first week here on CountryWide Connect. It's really a lovely full circle for me and having Carrfields involved in our business as my husband's been involved in yours. And I think that whole family-owned business thing, I've learned a lot from watching from the outside around the Carrfields group, and it's really, really exciting to have you on board. So thank you so much for partnering with CountryWide Connect. And we will have different people coming in from Carrfields talking around livestock on the show every month.
Yeah, so, we'll have our team come on that, people that have more knowledge than me in lots of these areas. But, we're really grateful to be part of the program. And, for us this year, the Carr family, we celebrate 50 years in business. So it's just great to be able to, contribute, not just in what we do, but contribute to, the wider New Zealand agricultural community. So thank you for having me.
No worries.
It'll be cool. And I'm looking forward to, I think I'm going to come down to one of the sales. I'm looking forward to show up at a sale, eh?
I was actually thinking so that Wiggy can give you a health check for thanks to the Carr Foundation.
Yes. We should get Wiggy in here, actually.
Yeah, we should.
We should get Wiggy.
Absolutely.
Wiggy's doing a great job. I mean, we are we're so proud of what's happening in the foundation.
Yeah.
This year, we're well on track to achieve by June 750 health checks. And
I
you
think
know,
751. I'll get one.
okay, and maybe 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, we're super proud at what's happening there, and I suppose what's really good about that, you come out of those events and you know that we're trying to make a difference, and by bringing in to the odd event a doctor into some of the events, that has meant people can go straight from the nurse to the doctor,
Yeah.
and they don't need to go and make another booking to try and get to the doctor. So
Because that could be, in some rural communities, that could be a month minimum.
yeah,
Can be a lifesaver, to be
Yeah,
honest, in some of the
absolutely.
situations. Craig,
yeah.
thank you so very much for coming in. We really, really appreciate it, and we look forward to having you in again. So we'll must have you on a panel, a good industry, shindig against someone else around some of these hot issues. It'd be great fun.
Oh no, great, thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Amazing.
Whatever your farm needs, machinery, seed, livestock or finance, Carrfields has the solution and the expertise to back them up. Find out more at carrfields.co.nz.